Paris Fashion Week, the glittering epicenter of global fashion, was roaring with flashbulbs, velvet ropes, and billion-dollar brands showing off their power. Celebrities everywhere, Zendaya, Rihanna, Kim Kardashian, all taking their thrones in the front row. But amid the sparkle and chaos, one name was missing: Meghan Markle. No invitations, no red carpet photos, not even a whisper of her arrival. For an industry obsessed with visibility, her absence screamed louder than any headline. Insiders called it the quietest scandal of the season, a cold erasure so calculated it looked effortless. The Duchess, once hailed as the modern face of royal elegance, had been completely frozen out. And this wasn't a scheduling conflict or a PR choice. It was exile in its most fashionable form. Sources say her name was once on multiple brand lists and then mysteriously vanished overnight. No explanations, no follow-ups, just gone. The fashion world didn't uninvite her with drama. It did something far worse. It ignored her. And when fashion goes silent, that silence speaks volumes. So what happened to the woman who once made every outfit trend worldwide? Why did the elite suddenly turn their backs? The whispers say it wasn't coincidence. It was consequence. And what unfolded next was a power move only the fashion elite could execute so beautifully and so brutally. It's hard to remember now, but there was a time when Meghan Markle could do no wrong in the style world. She graced magazine covers, inspired royal chic trends, and turned simple coats into viral fashion moments. Designers begged to dress her, from Givenchy to Stella McCartney calling her the perfect blend of grace and grit. But something shifted. The glow dimmed. One by one, the same brands that once lined up for her started stepping back. Balenciaga, Dior, even smaller couture houses, gone quiet. No scandals, no statements, just polite distance. That's how power moves in luxury circles. Not with confrontation, but with omission. It's not about whether she looked good in the clothes, she always did. It's about what she came to represent. To the industry, Meghan stopped being an asset and became a liability. Too unpredictable. Too loud. Too many headlines that had nothing to do with the clothes. When she walked into a room, the focus shifted from fashion to controversy. The same press that once worshipped her wardrobe now used it as a weapon, turning every dress into a debate. Fashion doesn't like chaos, it likes control. And somewhere between lawsuits, Netflix deals, and royal drama, Meghan became the wild card no one wanted to play with. But behind this sudden chill, there was more brewing than simple fatigue. There was strategy. In fashion, no one ever says the word blacklist. It's too obvious, too uncivilized for an industry that prides itself on subtlety. But insiders swear that's exactly what happened. Meghan's team sent inquiries. No responses. Publicists reached out. Emails went unread. Her stylists called old contacts, only to be told schedules were full. Translation: she's not welcome. One PR insider described it as social death by silence. No press release, no confrontation, just a slow vanishing act. Because in this business, to be unseen is to be undone. Designers didn't dare risk the distraction. Meghan wasn't just a duchess anymore. She was a headline magnet. A storm of politics, celebrity, and royal tension rolled into one. It's not personal, one source whispered. It's optics. And optics are everything. Behind closed doors, executives murmured that associating with Meghan had become too risky. They didn't want drama in their front row. They wanted mystique. And when a billion-dollar brand senses even a hint of unpredictability, it does what it always does. Retreats quietly and lets the narrative disappear. But what no one expected was how synchronized it all looked, as if someone somewhere had whispered the orders and the entire industry obeyed. This is where the story gets darker. According to multiple insiders, this wasn't just about fashion politics. It was influence, the kind only royalty can wield. Rumors suggest that one of Europe's most powerful fashion houses, with long-standing royal ties, was the first to quietly pull the plug. And once they did, others followed instantly. No one wanted to be the lone house seen as defying royal expectations. The message spread not through press releases, but through murmurs. Soft, strategic, lethal. Protect the image. Preserve the legacy. Avoid the storm. Meghan's independence, once admired, now looked threatening to institutions built on hierarchy and control. And as her brand grew louder, the royal establishment's patience grew thinner. The whispers claimed it wasn't revenge, it was reputation management. Still, it felt deliberate. Fashion insiders called it a coordinated freeze. One day, she was the face of modern royalty, and the next, she was persona non grata. But here's the thing, when power decides to silence someone, it doesn't need proof or explanation. It just closes doors quietly, and everyone else pretends they were never open. Meghan, as sharp as ever, must have sensed it. Her team scrambled to spin it as a conscious decision not to attend. But insiders laughed. You can't decline an invitation that never came. The exile was complete and beautifully disguised. Fashion has always had a brutal elegance when it decides to erase someone. It doesn't scream or attack, it simply forgets. Meghan Markle didn't get banned from Paris Fashion Week. She got erased from it. The power move was executed with precision. No brand statements, no snubs, just empty inboxes and unreturned calls. That's how you bury a public figure without ever digging a grave. And the brilliance of it, she couldn't fight back. How do you expose something that never officially happened? If she spoke out, she'd look bitter. If she stayed quiet, she'd fade. That's the trap. And it worked. The Duchess of Sussex, once the media's golden muse, became fashion's invisible woman. We didn't blacklist her, said one executive with a smirk. We just stopped answering. It was a quiet humiliation, and everyone knew it. The same fashion editors who once praised her outfits avoided mentioning her name. Her absence became the loudest headline. But the fashion world's silence wasn't just punishment. It was warning. To others who dared challenge the establishment, this was proof of what happens when you play the game too boldly. Meghan had been silenced not with scandal, but with sophistication. And still the question lingered. How far would this go? What began in Paris didn't stay in Paris. Hollywood noticed. Investors noticed. Streaming executives noticed. Meghan's lifestyle brand, rumored to be her next big empire, suddenly hit delays. Meetings postponed, collaborations paused, enthusiasm cooled. The same executives who once fought for her now muttered words like risk assessment. It wasn't hatred, it was fatigue. The media had turned her into a spectacle, and the public's appetite was waning. People are tired, one insider admitted, not of her, but of the circus. In an era where attention spans are currency, fatigue is deadly. The freeze from fashion had metastasized into a broader cultural chill. Without visibility, even the most powerful personalities lose momentum. Meghan's star hadn't crashed. It had been put on pause. And in celebrity culture, a pause feels like extinction. But even as doors closed and opportunities evaporated, those who knew her best weren't counting her out. They'd seen this pattern before, the backlash, the silence, the rebuild. And every time she came back sharper. Yet this time, the stakes were higher. One wrong step could make the silence permanent. For now, Meghan is playing the long game. She's been underestimated before, and she's always known how to weaponize silence. Her absence from Paris wasn't just exile. It was data, a lesson in how fragile visibility really is. Friends describe her as a chess player with impeccable timing. She studies the board, she waits for her moment. If she builds her own fashion label, one rooted in independence, empowerment, and reinvention, it could flip the entire narrative. Imagine the poetic justice. The woman fashion tried to erase becoming its next power player. Because when Meghan controls the story, she always wins. The fashion world's silence might have buried her name for a season, but silence never lasts. Eventually people get curious again. And when that curiosity returns, Meghan Markle will be ready. With her own empire, her own rules, and her own runway. The same industry that ghosted her might soon be begging for her attention. Because in the end, relevance is the only religion fashion truly believes in. They froze her out of Paris. But when she walks back in, the world will remember why she was impossible to ignore.